going to be finishing up our name tag today, or hopefully at least getting it pretty close to finish. May or may not be a third video. So now that you're logged into your computer, we are going to find our file from last class. I left mine here on the desktop. Again, you're looking for something that was first your first name, your last name, and then name tag.ai. Just simply go ahead and double click it. By doing that, it will recognize, because it is an AI file, that it'll just open up Illustrator right from the get-go, so you don't need to open up Illustrator first. This might take a little bit of time because it's doing two things. It's starting the software itself, and it's also opening your file. So bear with us as we open up Illustrator. And here we go. Perfect. The zoom was left as I had left it as well at 66.67. Don't be alarmed if you're zoomed in pretty far. You might not see your objects that we moved off to the side. So maybe just hold down Command, which is to the left of the spacebar, and then the minus key, which is towards the top right of your keyboard. And then voila, there they are. Again, to review with this scrolling, this is going to really help us today. Place, don't push. Place 2 fingers on your trackpad and shimmy them around, and you will see that you can kind of like move everything to get different advantage points. Today, what we're really going to be focusing on is coloring these 2 objects right here, and also kind of layering them or organizing them. It doesn't really matter which one of these is going to go above each other, and we can change that as we go. My intention was to make this one the top one, I think, but we'll see which one I like better. We're going to start with this one right here. So choose whichever one you think you want on the bottom for right now. Take the selection tool, which is this top left tool. The hotkey for that is V. The reason being is that when we get into Photoshop, you'll see that the move tool, essentially the same thing, its hotkey is V for move, I guess. Go ahead and move it back into the center. If you want to, you can increase or decrease its size. To review that again, when you have the selection tool, if you go to any of the corner pockets, you'll see your icon change to these 2 arrows. Hold down Shift, and then you can click to increase or decrease the size. I might make it a little bit bigger, and I'll shimmy it back to the center of the document. All right, color time. So something that I didn't go over last class that is super important, but now is really the time to mention it, is the fill and the stroke colors in Adobe Illustrator. Down here in the bottom left of all of your tools are where they are located generally. There are other locations, such as up top right here, but we'll use this for right now. The fill is currently set to white, and the stroke is currently set to black. What fill means is the entire color inside the object is that color. What stroke means is the outline of an object. So the outline of this, as you can see if I click off of it, is black. We don't want it to have a stroke, so I'm going to go ahead and hit, first of all, I should say here, you can click and bring either one to the forefront. Right now, you'll see that the fill square is in front of the stroke square. So if I edit anything, it will edit fill right now. Click on the square here to bring stroke above fill, and now I can change stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and click cancel it. And down here, you'll see you have 3 options: a solid color, a gradient, kind of think ombre if you don't know what a gradient is, and then none. So I'm going to hit none, and you'll see that, well, nothing happened because I actually didn't have my object selected. So first of all, make sure that you still have this object selected. Then go ahead and hit none. And you'll see if I click off now, oh, it's gone, right? No, it's not. It's just because it has a white fill on a white background. It's still very much there. So now that you didn't have to deselect yours, I'm going to go back and click on fill to bring fill to the forefront, because I actually want a gradient for the fill. So once I have fill selected, instead of hitting none, I'm going to hit gradient. And you'll see that it'll automatically do a grayscale gradient of just white to black. This window should automatically pop up, the gradient window, but if it doesn't, you can go to Window, Gradient, right there. And then this exact thing that I'm looking at will pop up. In here, we can change colors to anything that we want. There's a white circle here and a black circle here. which is how we have that grayscale gradient right now. So if you double click the white circle and then go to your color swatches right here where I'm hovering over, this gives you a bunch of basic colors to choose from. Later on, we can get really more specific with the colors, but for right now, I highly recommend that everybody stay within these colors available to us that are easily available, I should say. In my other demo, I think it was like a blue and purple, so I'm going to try something like radically different this time and maybe go like different shades of green. So I'm going to choose this lighter green over here, and I'm going to double click on the black one, and we'll go to a forest green, which I'm realizing isn't quite different enough, so maybe I might want to try something else. If you don't like these swatches, once you choose one, if you go back up to color, you'll see that you have this spectrum. You can very carefully move your little icon around, which changes to like a little dropper, and you'll get a slightly different version of that color, which now I have a light green to a dark green. So I'm satisfied here, so I'm just going to simply click off the shape. I can then close the gradient window, click off just to take a look at my shape here. I'm pretty happy with it. So this second one over here now, I'm going to move, and it's behind it. What if I want it in front of this shape? Well, now that it's in the canvas again, I want to right click it. Now you might be thinking, yo, I don't have a mouse, I can't right click. On the MacBook trackpads, if you press down with 2 fingers at once on the trackpad, you'll see that it simulates a right click. In here, you're looking for the word arrange down here towards the bottom. After arrange, I want to bring forward or bring to front. Bring to front will pop it in front of all objects. Bring forward just moves it up once. We only have 2 objects right now, so it literally will do the same exact thing. And now you'll see that I have my first object in front of my second. If you ever change your mind and want to move it backwards, right-click it again, arrange, send to back, or send to backwards. So we have it here. This will be a good review. I'm going to hold shift, size it up a little bit. I want it to be pretty similar to my first shape, something like that. Now I want to change its fill and its stroke. The first thing we want to do is cancel out the stroke. So I'm going to click on the stroke square over here to make sure I can cancel it, and then hit none. Now it is just a white shape. So click back on the white square, and I want to apply gradient. What you'll notice, which is really nice, is that it will apply the exact same gradient that we had before, which is incredible. You want the same colors. You don't want to change these colors up. I'll show you why. We are going to change a little something about these, though. Try to find and select your back object again, the previous one, the first one that you had. You can move it away for just a second if you want to. This gradient here on both of these went left to right, which is fine. But on the back object, whatever you decide, like this object is going to be my back one. If you open up the gradient window, or have that open, you'll see there's 3 types of gradients. A linear one, which is just left to right, radial, which is a circle, or a freeform gradient, which is disastrous to use. Don't click this one. We want radial for here, so you can go ahead and click that. Something else you can play around with here, where kind of radial comes from like a circle, is you could swap the colors. This button right here that I'm hovering over, reverse gradient, will turn the dark green in the center or the opposite direction. I'm going to go ahead and just move this back into place, see if I like the dark green there. That looks kind of a little too different or dramatic to me, so I'm going to go back to the light green. And I think I like that quite a bit. Might shimmy just a bit to get a slightly different look. Yeah, cool. That way, I have 2 distinct gradients. I can also even swap this if I wanted the dark one over there, like that. Actually, I think I do, so I like that. Again, that swap feature is right here, reversed gradient. I guess it's not swap, it's reverse. I'm going to close my gradient window now that we have both of those taken care of, and get ready for our next step. Our next step will be to take this gradient and create a dynamic outline for it. So select him, your top shape, and right-click. Once again, right-click, 2 fingers down at the same time, press them. And then you should see, oh no, we just want to go to edit copy. I lied. Select this one just with a simple one finger click. Go to your top by where File is, and you're going to see Edit. Under there, you'll find Copy. Now this is copied. So if we go back to Edit, we can go to Paste. And you'll see that it makes a direct copy of it. I'm going to move it over here for a hot second. We can do something kind of cool to it. So right now it has a gradient for the fill and no stroke. This button right here will swap your fill and your stroke. So if I hit this, it's hard to see right now. Let me click off. Look at that. I have a gradient, and it's on the outside. I want to change some of the colors, though. So I'm going to go back to my gradient window right here. And where it's like a really dark green right now, I'm going to go up here and just make it really light for both of these. Like two kind of shades of much lighter greens. I want this to kind of really stand out up here. If I click off, you can verify that that did occur. And then I'm going to take this and move it back. Don't lay it directly on it, because that's essentially just like the exact stroke of it. Move it off center one way or the other. A way that you can find move things, and I can't really point to this right now, are your arrow keys. Your up, left, down, and right. They can shimmy objects ever so slightly around. So I'm just going to off kilter it by just a bit. Let me click off to get a view of that. I like it. I'm happy with that. Now we're going to do something extra cool to it. Let's zoom in. If you remember, Command, and then either plus or minus will zoom you in and zoom you out. I'm going to zoom in pretty far. We're going to delete some of this line. I don't want the whole thing here. We're going to use not the selection tool, but the direct selection tool. It's up here. It's right to the right of it. But I don't think we'll be using this again for the rest of the year, actually. But the hotkey is A, if you ever want it. This will select nitty-gritty parts of different shapes. You got to be really precise where you click on this thing. I'm going to go ahead and click right here. And I'm going to try to actually select an anchor point itself. Once I have it selected, I'm going to hit delete and we'll see what happens. It'll delete a chunk of your work. Go around to just a few anchor points, maybe over there, and then I'm going to try to hit up like a little bit of a smaller section. That is way too big. If you ever chunk off too much, you can either do edit, undo, like that, or you could use the hotkey Command Z. Both of those will take away things. Actually, this might be okay. Let me go ahead and click off of everything by taking the selection tool and just clicking off, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm pretty happy with that. There looks to be a speck right there. I'm going to click that and delete that as well. All right, there we go. I just had to hit delete twice. So if you see any specks, you can call me over or just inspect yourself and mash that delete button. All right, cool. Only a couple more things to do, and we're in pretty good shape here. I'm going to zoom back out for this. So this next one is a pattern. This is like a pretty detailed part to this. I'm going to take our original shape, our top shape, and I'm going to copy paste it again. So edit copy, edit paste. And I am going to move it over here. We're going to save that for right now. Something else that I have to do is maybe somewhere where you have some empty space in here, on the white section anyway. We're going to take the ellipses tool. Again, just to show you where that is, it's right there. Click and hold on rectangle tool if it's up. You'll see it, or L. And it doesn't matter that it'll be gradiented right now, but just make a really tiny circle. Okay? After you have it, let's just make sure that we have it selected. Okay? You can click and drag with the selection tool, and you'll be good to go. And then we're going to go to Object, Pattern, Make. Object up here, top, pattern, make. Go ahead and click OK if that comes up. And what you want to see here is tile type grid. That's perfect. You could do different kinds of ones by rows. I just like the standard, to be honest. There's also hexagonal form ones. Grid is what I want. Don't worry about the naming it or anything like that. We won't be using these that often. Once you have that into place, up here, because now the whole window is all about this pattern, you can click this Done section that I'm circling my mouse around. Perfect. Go ahead and delete this circle now. Click on it and hit delete. We're going to zoom out. We're going to go all the way over to this shape that we had just made here. And if this isn't up, we want to go to our swatches, which is right here. If that doesn't show, window, scroll down, swatches. Anywho, back on swatches, you'll see all the colors, but right below them, you'll see a few patterns. We just made this one with the circle right here called New Pattern, fancy name. Click it. Oh, I did it as the stroke. I apologize. It's when you select this object over here, make sure that the fill is the one that you have selected, because we want to obviously fill this with the pattern. Then go ahead to swatches and click New Pattern. If I click off, you'll see that it made, if I zoom in more, a series of incredibly tiny dots. So that won't show exactly when it's far out, but we're going to go ahead and place this right here, right on top, or generally on top of the other one for right now. But it's way too intense. In the top center of your screen, you're going to see opacity, and it's going to be set to 100%. What opacity means is how easy it is to see something. If something is fully opaque at 100% opacity, you can easily see it. If something is, say, 1% opacity, you can barely see it, pretty much invisible. 50%, it's kind of like halfway through. I think this is pretty good at a lower percentage, maybe like in the 20s somewhere. And I'm also going to shimmy it off by just a little bit, like that. And I'm going to lower it even more, actually, for an even more subtle effect. You could, if you wanted to, you could click it, right-click it, and do arrange, send backwards just once. Oh, might have to do it again. Let's do it again. Arrange, send backwards. It doesn't seem like it wants to go. There, and now it's all the way in the back. If you want something like that all the way in the back, you can. I prefer it to go right there, to be completely honest. So I'm going to leave it right here. I think that's a good spot. Adds a little bit of texture to it. And then we only got one more style thing and one more practical thing. So style thing, ellipses tool. Let's make sure that we got this right. With the gradient, same gradient that we've been using this whole time. We can make a few more extra circles. Hold shift when you make them though. Let's make one right there. One right there. We'll throw another one over here. Now I might want to move these around and stuff like that, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to zoom in and close my gradient window. Take my selection tool. And you'll see that you might have to zoom in on really small objects to move them in even more. Like that. Let me command minus out, scroll over here. You notice the gradient's pointing in the same direction for both of these. I don't really like that. I'm going to rotate this guy a little bit. Put that dark side over there, and we'll change him as well. Rotating, by the way, is, you know how we were enhancing the size. If you're a little off, you'll see the icon change to this. Oops. Right there. And now you can rotate. So that way, the gradient changes ever so slightly. There we go. Cool. Got a little bit of like extra stuff going on here. All right. Last but not least, your name. We're looking for the text tool or the type tool. It's a literal T. The hotkey is T. Go ahead and click that. And then click anywhere in the dead center of the screen somewhere. You'll see that when you click, it says Lorem Ipsum. That is the default text for all things Adobe. We can go ahead and change that right now. What I want you to do is I want you to type your name in caps. Hold down Shift. Type your first name. After you type it, click and hold, select all the letters. You'll see that it comes up pink. We are going to change the text font, and we are going to change the text color. Later, we'll change the text size. And by default, it comes as Myriad Pro. Click in here where it says Myriad Pro. Delete that. by hitting delete or backspace. Type in IMP and you'll see impact. This is such a legible font. You can't really go wrong with this one. Also, by default, it comes as black text. You're going to have the option between leaving it black or double-clicking and going with pure white. You want it to be really eligible. Whatever color is more eligible on your color, pick that. I think white is actually probably going to work more, generally speaking. I'm going to hold Shift on the side of my text where the arrow is, and I want to increase it. Whoop. About that big. No. I still have to fit my last name. You don't have to fit them in the same row, keep in mind. So I might put like Andrew right here. I'm going to go back to the text tool again. Click somewhere else. Hold down Shift, type my last name. Select all the letters. And then I can go back up to here, hit impact. Oh, it's already on impact. That's wonderful. We don't actually have to change that. Go to the color. Change the color all the way up to white. Selection tool. Click hold. Enhance. Maybe I want my last name to be bigger. You might want your first name to be bigger. Either way, whatever you want. They do not have to be the same size. There we go. Maybe I want to move both at the same time now. I want to shimmy them both up. I have one selected. If I hold down Shift and I click on my other name, you'll see it selects both. Then I can shimmy them both up together and move them over just a bit. Voila. Boom. I'm done. I'm very happy with that. So there you have your name tag. We are going to save this file. And you don't have to do save as this time because you already did that. So just hit save. Once you see that, yep, there it goes, it processed. We can force close Adobe, click and hold, hit quit. Wait for Illustrator to close out, and you'll see right here, you should see the thumbnail changed. Everything should be inside it, just like it is right there. We're done. We're going to go up here, top left to the apple, and we're going to log out. All right, guys, take care.